This is just mostly just a video of me where I just felt like talking about dark chaos energy, you know? Like, its chaos emeralds are pretty cool. The stuff that makes you go, Luigi, no! When you have all 7 of them. Sometimes I think about the fact that there's some pretty cool things that it does in other ways they try to tie together. Like Dark Sonic. Dark super forms have been a topic of conversation ever since its conception in Sonic X. Though not a true dark form, it definitely got me thinking about trying to siphon out every bit of information there is to know about negative chaos energy from the series. Negative chaos energy lends itself to negative emotions, as positive chaos energy for positive emotions. So that would mean anger, vengeance, contempt, they are all forms of negative emotions that fuel or much rather amplify chaos energy. As shown with Perfect Chaos, in SA1, Tails mentions that even though the emeralds appeared siphoned out, they were only siphoned of their negative energy, and that Chaos and his internal rage and anger made it so that he could only absorb negative chaos energy. Now I want to bring up an idea of canon versus non-canon, and that is in regards to game mechanics, because when does a game mechanic become actual indicative canonicity and when does it become unreliable? I say this due to Shadow the Hedgehog. Much of that game actually offers ample information when it comes to dark chaos energy, but much of that information itself tends to be game mechanic. Do we consider these mechanics official or not? I guess that depends on a more similarly phrased question, like do you think Sonic's Insta-Shield is canon, an official move in Sonic's moveset? Some of you may say yes, some of you may say no. For those of you who say yes, you believe that as long as the move has been shown in any official capacity, it has to be considered a proper move. While many of you who say no will probably say that this is a one-off move that barely appears across the Sonic series, that never appears in cutscenes and lore explanations or statements about the character. Both of these arguments make sense. But then comes more interesting questions. For example, if you consider the Insta-Shield a move for this reason, do you also consider Sonic's infinite water jump in colors to also be official? Do you also consider Sonic's parry and frontiers to be official? I imagine some may say no. Suddenly there's some kind of blur in the argument, but then for the other side, for anyone who says it doesn't count as a move, you probably count Super Peel Out as a move for Sonic, right? You probably count the Blue Tornado as a move for Sonic, right? But the thing is, they are also one-off moves that barely appear across the Sonic series, and no cutscenes to their name either. That mostly means for this video, it's kinda up to you to decide what you consider proper lore or not. I personally count it. In my views of game mechanic canon, as long as the move has been used in the games, no matter what capacity it has been used, it counts as a move. However, I'll only consider the move as it is, and not for any game mechanics it may introduce. So I'll consider Spin Dash a move, and that it's a move where Sonic curls up into a ball and charges up, but won't consider its momentum shifting mechanics or anything else of the sort. Similarly, I'll consider Parry a move, but only as a move where Sonic has the ability to counterattack. I won't consider its game mechanic like the infinite airtime or the extent of what it can and cannot parry. Are there any holes to this interpretation? Probably, but I think it rounds up and covers most of my bases here. Because the thing is, when you look at Shadow the Hedgehog, we get introduced to the Dark form and Hero form, forms that never appear in the Sonic franchise ever again. And while to most people that could leave questions of doubt on whether the form is official lore, for the sake of this video, I'm going to presume that these forms are canon, both because they fit within my rule sets and they are important places of info in regards to chaos energy. Naturally, it's pretty easy to infer that different forms lend to different energies. Chaos energy manipulation is just part of Shadow's power set. Given that characters like Chaos has only ever been able to access negative energy when he's angry and didn't take in positive energy, I think it's fair to say that as a result, Shadow should work under a similar system. While in Hero mode, due to his positive nature, he's more inclined towards positive chaos energy, and while Dark mode, he's inclined towards negative chaos energy. That means we can then look into how both forms work and get a deeper perspective on chaos energy as a whole, which is intriguing because wouldn't that technically mean that Chaos Blast is negative chaos energy and Chaos Control is positive chaos energy? Shadow in Hero mode only ever uses Chaos Control, and Shadow in Dark mode only ever uses Chaos Blast. Kinda lends itself to that idea, doesn't it? Weirdly enough, there's a consistency with this concept too, because like Sonic and Silver, two relatively positive characters in the series, never use Chaos Blast. Both of them have more showings of Chaos Control. There's also SA2 Shadow, where Shadow never uses Chaos Blast and is exclusively using Chaos Control. When you consider his storyline in that game, while at face value he seems to be on a revenge arc, Shadow genuinely thought he was doing the right thing by wanting to destroy the Earth, which weirdly lends itself into his use of Chaos Control in that game. In fact, when looking at Sonic 06, in that game, Shadow never actually uses Chaos Blast in any of the cutscenes, which adds up considering he's on the good side for the whole story, having used Chaos Blast only in gameplay. Even more interestingly, when you consider what Perfect Chaos is and what Chaos Blast is, lends credence to this idea that negative chaos energy is destructive energy. Shadow also gives the idea that positive and negative chaos energy have different colors too. while Chaos Control always being depicted as blue and Chaos Blast with red, but that is pretty consistent throughout the series. Chaos Control is blue in 06, Black Knight, even Sonic Prime. The portals formed from Chaos Control in 06 are also blue. There was one time it was black in Team Sonic Overdrive, but no need to consider that. As for Chaos Blast, 06 also has it as red, and so does Black Knight, though that move doesn't appear again for a long while. However, what's kind of crazy about that is that this specific color pattern might actually only be specific to Shadow, and that is due to the energy cores that you can get in the game. Energy cores are these orbs that power up Shadow. Different colors fill up different gauges. The blue one fills the hero gauge, and the purple one fills the dark gauge. This wouldn't usually be relevant if it wasn't for the fact that they return in Sonic Generations. And even more, they are an important boss fight mechanic that Sonic can use. We don't ever get an opportunity for Sonic to use dark energy, and in the weirdest way, this generation's boss fight was the first and only time we've ever seen Sonic do this, as the whole race is spent on Sonic and Shadow racing to see who can get the purple cores first so that they can use their respective ultimate moves, with Shadow glowing red and throwing a volley of Chaos Spears, and Sonic rams through meteorites to damage and slow down Shadow, and Sonic is purple for some reason instead of red. It is interesting, although it's hard to use this as proof that Chaos Energy is different in color for different characters. The biggest reason I say it is because, for one thing, we don't know if the energy cores are Chaos Energy. For all intensive purposes, they very well may not be. And they are just sources of negative or positive energy that Sonic or Shadow can use for whatever purpose. Not to mention super forms are positive energy, but they are golden instead of blue, so potentially there might be no relation to this at all. But what it is further proof of is that dark energy is meant more for destruction. It kind of makes you wonder if the other abilities that Chaos Energy has falls under this kind of polarity, or if it's just general. Like, Chaos Spear is usually yellow in color. He could technically fall under either polarity, there's no necessary proof, and things like Sonic's ability to purify anger and darkness, whether it's cleansing Perfect Chaos's rage or Nega Mother Wisp's corruption, we can be fairly certain that there are aspects to positive Chaos Energy that negative Chaos Energy just wouldn't be capable of. It also dives further questions into Gaia Energy too, since that ties into Chaos Energy as well. Does that mean that whenever emeralds get restored in Gaia temples that it's both Light Gaia and Dark Gaia at work, or is it somehow that Light Gaia is naturally having both positive and negative natures to it? This also kind of goes back to the first question I had in this video. How would dark super forms work? Well, considering naming schemes, it probably wouldn't be called dark super or just dark, because all the characters in the series who has used a negative super form is usually called like perfect or ultimate, and we don't really call the regular super form light super form or positive super form. I mean, I know ultimate and perfect are kind of pretentious, but who knows, maybe narcissism is a negative trait. But hey, who knows, maybe the dark cores affecting Sonic and turning his boost from blue to purple actually means his dark super form is purple, which is interesting because that's kind of the color we tend to associate dark super Sonic with. And the whole tying to destruction thing also gives a good hint on how the form would work, with super form being about speed, precision, time, healing, and all that stuff. Dark form being destruction, power, and corruption, and the like. I can even imagine techniques designed to work with it, like black holes and stuff. On the topic of healing, that's also an aspect of positive Chaos Energy. We have situations like the Shadow Heal and the ending of Sonic 1 where we see positive energy do just that. This is probably some extra ties to Gaia Energy in some way, with it being able to create plant life and stuff. In fact, if the idea behind positive Chaos Energy and Light Gaia is the fact that they're connected to life and nature, means that technically speaking, Dark Gaia is tied to natural disasters, which gives a further question. Can dark Chaos Energy corrupt land as positive energy fixes it? Obviously, like, there isn't a lot on this energy system. This is just a fun little ramble that I wanted to do. I do hope that one day we will get more information like this when it comes down to it. Sega having a lore team does make me pretty glad, because now we might actually get a chance to get into questions like this and see how they work out for the franchise. These are things I would love to learn more about in the Sonic series, and I do hope that maybe one day we'll get to see more out of these energies and what they can do. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe. I try to be regular with uploads, though it's pretty difficult to manage, so I'm glad I have these more smaller rants to work with to give a bit more to chew on something as the next video gets made. Do let me know if you enjoyed these rants and if you want to see more. For now though, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you later.